All right, Father's Day is coming up, and you're thinking, what do I get Dad this year? Well, have I got it for you. I designed and built this voice recorder that attaches to your dad's favorite tape measures that saves you so many times walking up and down the stairs. It's a tool that I invented, manufactured, patented, and am selling. It's a voice recorder that records 3 different recordings just so you don't have to measure twice, because that's a pain. Who wants to do things twice? 30% off now until just before Father's Day.
Head over to takeboss.com.
Okay, so I have a background in construction, built my own house, built my own shop, built cars, I've done fireplaces, plumbing, electrical, and there's one thing that I kept running into, and that's when I was organizing a crew with guys underneath me. They'd ask me a question and I would forget my measurement. Drive me insane. So I said, somebody needs to invent a voice recorder that attaches to tape measures. After we built our house, we had a little bit of equity in the house. I took the jump and I designed a tape boss, we call it. 3 little 10-second recordings just to play back that very quickly while you're working. It takes 2 hands to run a tape measure. So you hold the record button and then just play your voice back to you. Very handy, loved it, but I made a lot of mistakes along the way and did a lot of good things with it as well too. And I just want to talk about that. How do you invent something, or I have an idea what to do? And I gotta tell you, it is a very frustrating process on trying to bring something to market. I started with an idea and I called up a company called Invention. And for a fee of about $15,000, they would take your product, design it for you, and then they would market it to companies to either license it or whatever. Now, if you license it, that means that another company is going to make it and you get a royalty, usually of about 2 to 5% on whatever they sell. But they own the product, they own everything, they put their name on it, and that's it.
Yeah, it's the book they made, but I'm not very thrilled with this. They double space it, and I think there's 2 spaces in between each word to make it. I don't know, they got graphs and like all this is useless. 2008, the value of U.S. exported goods totaled 1.29 trillion. And it's a fancy book, it's hardcover, it's got some fancy pictures to help make you feel comfortable that they know what they're doing. But my wife is smarter than I am, and she went on the internet the night before I was gonna sign the contract, and found out that a lot of people are very unhappy with Invention. And if you actually look at the contract, you're very limited to what they're gonna do. Everything is in their power. They only have to try to market it to 200 companies before they ask you for more money. And everything they do is legit, everything's legal. There's nothing that they don't disclose. They say that you should get your own patent lawyer, even though they have ones available for you. And they make theirs really cheap, whereas if you go somewhere else, it's gonna be thousands of dollars, but that's kind of incorporated in the cost. What I found was that their numbers right away don't add up. There's a lot of grammatical errors in this book. They kind of missed the whole picture. So we went back again to stall them and say, you know what, we don't have enough money and whatever. Then he started getting really pushy and saying, well, how much money do you have? We could put you on a payment plan and this and that. They do a preliminary patent search, but that doesn't get you your patent. So instead of giving him the $12,000, I found a patent lawyer in Hamilton.
If there's one thing that I've ran into over and over again with the product, it's that there's a pile of companies that take your good intentions and your hopes for a good product and then just try to exploit it. Once they have your money, they don't need anything else. They just need 5 of those a month. They're bringing in $50,000 sitting behind their computer not doing anything.
So after talking with Mark Kosh, who's gonna be my patent lawyer, he took the information from InventHelp and he's expanding on that, doing a much more thorough search, and he's applied for my patent. So that does take about 8-10 weeks before I hear anything. If I do get the patent, it'll be $5 grand right off the start.
The only reason I did that is to make sure that I wasn't stepping on somebody else's toes. I wasn't gonna go through all the process of designing something, spending money on that, and then having somebody say, we already make that. You're infringing on our patent and you need to cease and desist. So I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing else out there. I hired a lawyer, and just going over all of my bills from the lawyer, they are really expensive. I had him draw up a patent on it, and I've talked to multiple companies since, and they looked at the patent and said, your patent is extremely weak. If we wanted to get around it, we would be able to do so. Not very encouraging because it still costs a lot of money. There's also maintenance fees on it. It costs a few $100 every year for them just to keep the patent alive. So over the 10 years, you're gonna spend another $3 to $5 grand just to keep the patent open. It's a giant.
So the way it works is you file a patent, it goes on the patent office desk, and it just, whatever patents come just gets put in order. So if I have my idea and I'm number 200 on the list, and somebody like Stanley is number 400 on the list with the same idea, he would reach mine first and I would get the patent.
I don't really regret it. I just understand that it costs a lot of money just before you even get started. Patents don't mean squat overseas, and whether you like it or not, you have to make things overseas. I didn't do that.
So in the meantime, I'm gonna see if there's a company out there that can design it for me. Quotes are free. ECI seems like a good company. I've spoken to them on the phone a couple times already, and they say they can make it. So what they're gonna do is figure out a cost, see if we can do it. And it's only about an hour and a half away, good traffic. Then I've got something local. I am busy and I probably don't need to be doing this stuff right now, but I realize that I can make money while I'm awake, working hard. But what I'm gonna try and do is make money while I'm sleeping. This is just a rough thing for ECI. So very crudely, this is something what I'm thinking. Off to the side, not too bad. And cut that little corner out, let the fat maxes. That's perfect, that's beautiful. Most people use a Stanley anyway, so I'm gonna drill a hole down the center. We'll put a longer screw in there. So I'm sure we'll be able to find a more daintier screw if we ever go into production, but for now I got a 1/4 inch steel screw. I'll just pop that on. Well, that's pretty good. And I might be asking a bit much to put it just under 1/2 inch to put a voice recorder in something that skinny, but we'll see what they say. So yeah, I'm excited. We're gonna get a tour of the factory today.
I had it made in Canada. I went to a company that was able to design and manufacture the product for me. I figured I would get it made locally because a company in China could just take it, mass produce it themselves. There's nothing I could do, steal the idea. I figured I'd keep it as much of a secret as I could until I released the product. I do realize that they got a lot of the parts from overseas. It's very hard to find circuit boards, the buttons, all that is made in Asia, and there's no way of getting around that. They gave me a price list and a website to compare the price to, and a lot of the parts were expensive. One of the parts in here, just the memory chip, was $2. So it costs close to $10 to get it made in North America. Still came from Asia, it was assembled in Toronto. Because I had zero experience, I believed the price that they told me. When I was talking to them, they said, how much do you expect the R&D for this to be? And I said, I don't know, $5 grand. They kind of laughed and said, well, to design a product, to figure out the tooling and R&D, you got to build it, you got to test it, you got to change what's wrong, is going to be a lot more than that, probably triple that. But just in the email and the quote here, they said they'll do it for $5 grand if they have the rights to building them for the next 3 years. Now, I never make a contract that lasts longer than a year. And I think the problem with this voice recorder is going to be the price points. It's not going to be $100 that you make on each one. It's going to be $2 or $3. I never return an email the same day either. At least that gives you a day to kind of decide whether that was the right move or not. I think I'm going to return the email and say go ahead with the R&D. But I got to figure something out for, I don't like that 3-year thing. So whether I pay the whole thing or negotiate maybe like a number of units made instead, I'm going to do that instead. So, but on the upside of that, they wanted the rights to the first 3 years, makes me think that they think it's a good idea too. So I think we're going to keep going. I then called up Home Hardware in Canada and left a message on the person responsible for buying tools and said, I have a tool that will save every contractor lots of time. Give me a call back if you're interested in finding out what it is. I got a call back about 3 hours later. So yep, I'm interested. Told them I invented a voice recorder and would like to sit down and show you what it exactly is. So I got my
very first circuit board back from ECI, and I'm happy with it so far. So I have a meeting with Home Hardware tomorrow. So we printed out this 3D printout of the housing. Pretty neat what they can do. They have the pegs and everything to support the board. There's an issue though where the housings just fit together, but nothing keeps it together. So we're gonna have to come up with some sort of latch system to keep it tight, but it should work for what I needed to do tomorrow. The only thing is I don't have a label for it, so I went to the guy that stickers my trucks, and he came up with this. I gotta know whether it's worth investing another 15 grand for the proper tooling to make the housings and the label and everything else, and then we can go from there. So we'll put it together. Hopefully it works. Basically the speaker just fits in the speaker hole, and then the buttons are supposed to line up. So it seems to drop in okay. The buttons poke through, so that's nice. Best invention ever.
Best invention ever.
I already had a sticker on it. There's some glue left behind. Wish me luck.
It's actually TapeBoss that got me into YouTube. Aaron actually made the first commercial for TapeBoss that we presented to Home Hardware, and that's how this whole channel actually grew.
Welcome to the TapeBoss, the only tool of its kind that will save you thousands of dollars in saved labor and materials every year. And here's how. The TapeBoss is a compact digital voice recorder that attaches to virtually every tape measure. It has 3 separate recordings that record anything from 1 to 10 seconds. No more measuring twice, because you'll get it right the first time.
So I had a meeting in St. Jacobs, Ontario, where the headquarters for Home Hardware Canada is. They have about 800, 900 stores, something like that. Sat down with just a prototype. We didn't have a fully functioning, working product yet. Says, I love it. I will take 4,000 pieces. Fantastic. That was done over handshake, was not done through contract, and that was a mistake. That was a very big mistake. They told me, there's a pile of paperwork to figure out on getting it into their system, which took a significant amount of time to get all in order. I have to have insurance on the product myself. If somebody opened up the package, their baby swallowed the battery, I need to have $5 million liability on that. Another cost that I was not really expecting. They also said we want you to have a certain amount of inventory on reserve, because if we order more, we need to have that within 2 weeks. And so I made a run of 7,000 units.
Bleh, traffic.
Time for the Christmas rush. Right?
Yeah, we need as many as possible.
So the first of many products.
First of a couple 100,000. The very first tape box is off the line. Still warm. This one's going up on the, number 1. So, beautiful. Thanks, guys. So it's March, wonderful Canada, where it's -10, it's almost April. It's the home show. It doesn't feel like spring, but we're here to try and hit up Paul LaFrance, who's doing some speaking at the Warplane Heritage Museum. You can see the planes in the background. We're gonna see if he can maybe use TapeBoss or what his thoughts are on it. We gave him one a few months ago, but his assistant is never getting back to me, so best thing to do is shake his hand. Yeah, TapeBoss.
Oh, yes.
Sarah,
I did. I actually have that in my bag.
Yeah.
Well, I can't show logos or anything.
No. Just talked to Paul LaFrance. I don't think he's able to show any logos or anything on the show because of their contract with Black & Decker. But I got him to sign it, and says it's pretty cool. He has it in his bag, and they're having fun with it. They're just not allowed to use it on the show. So yeah, we'll go from there. So we're on the way to Lowe's in Burlington today to go meet Brian Baumler. He's signing books. Dropped off some TapeBosses there a couple months back, and the PR guy said that they were using them on site. So I kind of want to hear his opinion. I know he's sponsored by Black & Decker as well, so probably won't get anything out of him other than we'll probably have to buy his book, even though the book is actually called Measure Twice. And I hope I don't offend him too much when I say that's a waste of time. Again, the angle I think is to get them to know that I exist and put a face to the name, and then hopefully the contacts through him to get to somebody at Black & Decker, and hopefully they can make the Tape Boss a couple years from now. So yeah, I hope it works. Here we go.
You have one of these? We have one of those.
Yeah, what do you guys think?
They don't give me anything. These guys don't give me anything.
How do you record something? You just hold the red button on the top.
Adam's an idiot. Hey, it works. This is all just to remember what you just measured?
Just that. Look at this. Measure twice.
Yeah.
What a waste of time. Why would you measure twice when you can just say that was 14 and 5/8 to the crack on the fourth panel in, right? Now try and remember that.
You gotta measure twice so you only record once.
Yeah, have you gone to a job site? People yelling at each other. What? And
That's all we do.
But
Every day.
exactly.
That's all we do.
That's right. Phone rings. You still have that one measure in your head. You just play it back through the window.
I look forward to seeing you conquer the world with this.
Yeah. All right. At that exact time, there was auditions for CBC's Dragon's Den. Now, Dragon's Den is Canada's version of Shark Tank.
Good morning, we're at Dragon's Den auditions in Niagara Falls. Just to make sure that you're likable for TV, CBC needs to sell a show, right? So we're gonna wait to be called in. Pretty exciting stuff. So let's see where this takes us.
CBC's Dragon's Den has heard pitches from hundreds of aspiring entrepreneurs.
Watching Dragon's Den, I learned a lot from the show. Now, honestly, I don't think a tape measure is complete without the Tape Boss on it. It's only doing half the job for you.
Is there a particular dragon you're hoping to work with?
I'm hoping for Mike Weckerly. I respect what he does. He's involved in a lot of charities. So that went really well. It was fast, actually. 15 minutes flew by, waiting for a phone call. So 4 to 6 weeks before we hear anything. Cross my fingers, and here we go. I just got a call from Dragon's Den. It's the end of April, and May 11th I'm going on. So I'm pretty excited that of the 3,000 people that applied, I was able to be one of the 250 or so. So that's one last thing that had to fall into place. I always want to be filthy rich. And I do mean that as in dirt under my fingernails. I don't, the money doesn't mean anything to me. I want to be able to help people, help my brothers out in Burkina, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, I'm gonna keep working. I'm kind of tired, starting at 4 in the morning a lot to try and get all this stuff done. We'll see what happens on May 11th, so I'm pretty excited. All right, here we go. So it's Dragon's Day today. Exactly 8 weeks and 1 day, I think, after we auditioned. We got our set here. We've got the door frame. We're gonna get Joe to measure. They told us what to say. I gotta call Joe up, and that'll work pretty good, actually. We got his hard hat, his tool belt, which I was told to bring. Bought new stuff for him because my stuff's all dirty. So I'm gonna actually end up firing him today. Should be pretty fun. And then I slapped a little stand together last night, going for the rustic barn look. We're from the country, so that's gonna hold all the tape measures. We got our Budweiser cooler full of snacks because they put us in a room for 6 hours and we don't know if it's gonna be an hour or 6 or whatever. So, and then the tape measures, I don't think there's anything else. So here we go, off to Toronto, beat the traffic. We'll see what happens when we get there. Should be fun. Here we go. So this is my dad's truck. It's the only truck that would fit the door frame and stuff in the back. No cruise, no nothing. The radio's broken, plain Jane. All the pressure should disappear. Might even get a parking spot. So we're here at Studio 40 at the CBC building.
Start at the top of the stairs, you walk across, you have your shadows, aiming to land yourself on this yellow mark.
I'm not as nervous as I thought I would be. I'm more nervous making sure that we're getting here on time. The traffic really sucked. But yeah, we got snacks, we're ready to go on, and looking forward to it. So Tape Boss is a detachable digital voice recorder that attaches to any tape measure. It attaches a tape measure you already own. Joe, I need you to come on down. Oh, there you go. One of the other pictures was making food. I invested in their company by eating their lasagna. It's really good. Now, what we're gonna do is measure the trim around this door, all right? 3 simple measurements. There's some paper and pen in your tool belt. If you could just write down the measurements for me while I do it. There's all my tape bosses. I just got my packaging yesterday. Very happy with it. Nice vacuum sealed. 45 on the
You're going so fast. It's 85/38, so yeah.
That's incorrect. Now that's why you need a tape box.
85/24.
There you go. I'm about to go in the den to make a deal with the dragons on the best invention ever. Up next in the den,
About 2.5 million people watch that show every week at the time that I pitched, which was now 3 years ago, something like that. And at the same time, it was very disappointing. It is reality TV. They told me what to say. They told me lies that I had to say, including that if I didn't make a deal that day, my parents would lose their house. None of that is true. The only thing that could have helped me is getting in front of 2.5 million people, because nobody knows what this product is. I have to educate every single person as to why this is a good idea and why they need it.
so just came out of the den. I can't say what happened. It was very intense. I got a big beating. But for being at the end of the day, they were a lot of smiles. They were a lot of fun, but very skeptical at the same time too. And Manjeet, actually, I was surprised. She was pretty critical right from the start, and but I had a very rich evaluation. I think I made it entertaining enough, and I'm pretty sure it'll come to air. So.
Unfortunately, I was one of the 100 that didn't make it to air. I did not have sales at the time. I asked for $432,682.26. A lot of the dragons were out. I brought 2 dragons back in again and eventually made a deal with Weckerly, and that entire thing was... Unfortunately, that didn't make it through. I was under contract to not say anything. I don't know if I'll get in trouble for this, but I just want to share my experiences with reality TV. They didn't call me to tell me that I didn't make it to air. I just watched each week. I didn't fit the schedule, or what, I don't know. So it is 2 weeks after I found out that they did not choose my episode for Dragon's Den. I still don't know whether I'm allowed to talk about what actually happened or not. Disappointed that it didn't air, obviously, because that would have been a lot of good advertising. On top of Dragon's Den not airing, I'm in a little bit of a difficult spot right now, trying to get rid of inventory that is probably, I paid more than what it's worth for. So all of that in consideration, I can finally give Home Hardware my final price and then get the ball rolling again. So unfortunately, Home Hardware didn't take the sales that they promised. They eventually only took about 1,500 units, leaving me with 5,500 units. They said, well, we just want to try it out for now and then we'll see. They sent me a bill for advertising it, putting it into the flyer, which is not cheap, just one tiny little section at the bottom, like page 12. Not saying what it was, not explaining why they need it, not with tape measures. And I was really disappointed that Home Hardware wouldn't market it a little bit better to be able to push sales. It is still currently available in 800 stores, but I've only had a couple more small orders of 100 at a time. Nothing to the extent of the 4,000 that they promised. So another lesson learned, get it in writing, get it on paper, and say, I need a PO for 4,000 and I will ship them out. After I put in my initial order, I met a lot more people, a lot more contacts that was able to get the product down to $1.38 overseas. Now, that's a big hit to the wallet. That's 90% cheaper.
Okay, so I got some mail today from China. A buddy of mine's buddy is a local Canadian who lives in Shanghai and goes all over the place. He's priced it out for me through a couple different factories, but these are the latest samples. So it actually comes in one of the housings. 2 pieces of double-sided tape. Hello. Nice and loud. Actually, I don't have the old one to compare. The beep is a lot quieter, and that's okay. I don't mind the quiet beep because that just drains power anyway. And that's funny that they do the same thing where there's a chip under there and they won't tell you what it is. I am actually really, really happy about this. Problem is, I still have to get rid of another 15,000 of ECI's units. I almost feel guilty, but it is what it is. I'm ecstatic with that. So, right on.
I did get a hold of another guy, and he says, my product is not good for as seen on TV, but yours is. The way as seen on TV works is that they will only sell a product if they can make 5 times the margin. So if it's cost them $2, then they have to be able to sell it for $10. And the buy one, get one free, just pay for shipping and handling, has to cover the cost of the original product. So shipping and handling is $2, which would cover the cost of the original unit. So we pitched it to them for $2. That would give us 50 cents profit on each unit. They would buy 100,000, they would sell it. I made it all the way to the top, and it was between me and one other product, and they decided to go with the other product. That sucks. So, not a big deal, good lesson learned. A good way to figure out how the industry works. As seen on TV wasn't for me. But I thought I'd try something else. At the end of the day, TV is dead. Even if you watch TV, you fast forward the commercials, you leave, it's dead noise. TV is over, and online or social media is now the way to get your products out there. 98% of our sales from tapeboss.com come from you guys, and really want to thank you guys. One, for supporting Tape Boss. It really helps the channel, helps get rid of the last of the inventory. I probably have about 2,000 units left. I don't know if I'm going to make any more. I've sold about 4,000 units myself, and the only way to do that was through the YouTube channel. So now we've got this YouTube thing, which gives us an opportunity too to market Tape Boss ourselves. We've got a buddy down out west, Zip Ties and Bias Pies. You can check out his channel. Make sure there's no kids around. He did a review on it. It's pretty funny. You can check that out. YouTube is fantastic. We've had a lot of fun with it, showing our builds, and now companies are starting to reach out for us. Milwaukee sent us some tools. They were the first company that sent us anything. Said, here, just use our stuff. And I was invited out to NPS 18. Now, before I was invited out, I asked my rep who sent me tools, like, hey, do you guys know that I invented a tool? Is there any way I could pitch to you guys? And she said no. So they did invite me out to NPS 18. While everybody sat down at the tables, all the mechanics sat together, all the construction guys sat together, I sat down with the table with the most red shirts that I could, sat down, went around the table, and I figured out that the guy to my right was the guy who was in charge of tool development. So I pulled out a package and said, hey, I designed a tool. He goes, that's really cool. I'm amazed you got it this far. Let me call another guy. I was able to set up a meeting just because I found the right guys to talk to. A couple months later, I flew down to Milwaukee and I had my first meeting with one of the biggest, fastest growing tool companies in North America. And I said, you guys have a problem because the Home Depot down the street from you guys sells more DeWalt or Black & Decker tape measures than Milwaukee, and this is Milwaukee, this is your hometown. For $1, if I can make it for $1.30, you guys should be making it for $1, and you could take your Milwaukee voice recorder and stick it to the front. Now everybody has a Milwaukee tape measures. And they said, that's a good idea. Talking about being able to make it skinnier, making it a little bit more robust, making a rubber overmold over it, making it feel more like a professional tool. They said, we're gonna put it in a concept stage. So they bought a significant amount of it, distributed it through their focus groups, which are actually construction companies that work with tools, and that's where it stopped. I got so close. Unfortunately, they said, it's a great idea, we love it, but it's not part of our plan. It doesn't really fit into our 5-year plan. We've got different ideas for tape measures. Now, Milwaukee, I thought would be a good fit because they're trying to be one of the biggest companies. They're not the biggest companies, but they are definitely trying very hard to be that company and figuring out how to get their name out more. I thought this would be a good fit. So I'm going back to the NPS 19, fingers crossed. Luckily, the YouTube has given me a degree of confidence talking in front of strangers. There's some tough questions out there. They need to see profit at the end of the day too. And if nothing else, it got me ready for the next meeting. Because of the confidentiality agreements that we had with Dragon's Den and whatever else, and the meetings with Milwaukee, I didn't push the product as much as I possibly could. But right now is a good time to pick up yours. I'm not done with Tape Boss yet. I am done probably with designing it and selling it myself. My profit on these is only $1 or $2 a unit, which doesn't give me a whole lot of room to breathe. And that's because I made the mistake of having it made in North America and buying too much of it at the same time. So licensing is about my only way out. If you guys are interested, or if you know somebody or see of anything and you want to help, hit me up at rich@tapeboss.ca. But for now, we're gonna sell the last of our inventory and then carry on with YouTube. Okay, so I had a lot of information thrown at you, and I just want to clear up a few questions you might have, like would I do it again? Absolutely. If it wasn't for the Tape Boss, we wouldn't have a YouTube channel and we wouldn't be in this crazy little venture that we are in doing right now. But going into Tape Boss, I would have done it a lot different. You got to realize that everybody in the process of getting your product out there is only in it for themselves. The lawyers, the people designing it, TV shows, and whoever else along the way, including the scammers that won't do anything for you. So go in cautiously, and probably the biggest word of advice I have is whoever's making the product for you, when they give you a price, that's not the price. It was very disappointing to find out that me, having no experience in the field, could make my product for just over $1 when I got charged $10 a unit by somebody who does this all day, every day. The last meeting when I sat down with them and I said, guys, you got to make it cheaper. They said it's impossible, and they recommended I go out and get a quote somewhere else. I pulled out a working, functioning product already, gave it to them, and said, look, this is just over $1, guys. And they said, well, good luck, and they walked out of the boardroom. So at the end of it, did I make money? Not yet. If I sold the inventory, I might break even. I think the only people that made money was the company that built it for me, unfortunately. But that's okay. With lessons learned, and I want to share those with you so that you guys can learn from my mistakes. We don't live long enough to make all the mistakes ourselves, so learn from other people. Guys, thanks a lot for watching. I hope that answers some questions. If you're thinking about designing or inventing something yourself, stay away from companies like InventHelp and any company that says, you know what, we need a check for $10,000 and we can get you the sales. That is not their job. Their job is just to get that $10,000, and they're in and out. Done. Head over to tapeboss.com, 30% sale. It's one of the biggest sales that we've had so far, and definitely comment if you want me to sign it. Thanks for watching. Lots of good stuff coming up and so much variety on this channel. So here we go.